words. I really enjoy meeting all the members and I love training everybody. I feel like I'm kind of trying to make the lake a little bit safer for all of us, one or two boaters at a time. So that's really my goal here. In this training, Navionics, if you've trained with me, I always talk about this app. Many of you have said, hey, you should probably get a job selling for them because I sell it to you guys pretty well. But I think it's a great app. I use it on my boat, and even though my boat has a GPS, I use both this app and my GPS app because I find this app is much more intuitive. I find it easier to use, and I can zoom in and zoom out very quickly, where I can't do that with my boat GPS. And then also I can create an automatic route and do some other kind of fun things where I'm going to be able to put pins in things and save certain things. So I just want to make sure that I share that stuff with you guys. One little housekeeping thing, please make sure that your computer or your phone is on mute. Because I can hear some people. Okay, so let's just talk about like Navionics, what it is. All right, so Navionics is, and again, I hope to be done by 7:30, and that I'm going to give you guys some time to answer your questions at the end. There is an agenda that Taylor sent out, so I hope that all of you have it and you could follow along. There's one or two items that I kind of added at the last minute because I forgot about that I want to show you. So I'll just talk about those at the end. But Navionics, what is it? It's an app. It's available on the Apple or Android app store. It costs about $25 per year. It used to be free way back when, and now they start charging for it because they get you used to it and using it. And then they charge for it. It goes up a little bit every year, but I think still well worth it. It's cheap insurance to make sure that you're safe and that you know where you're going. And the $25 per year covers all of the United States and Canada. So for those of you who travel, who use the Freedom Boat Club when you travel, it's a great app for that as well. It'll work anywhere in the country. And I'm also gonna, at the end, kind of show you how you can use it for the tides, which can be tricky, especially, if you're used to boating here in Michigan because we don't have tides. Let's talk about, so I'm gonna use what I'm showing you guys that you're looking at, and the reason why it's long and skinny is because this is actually my phone. So I found an app that lets me transfer my phone onto the screen, onto this presentation for you. So I'm not going to do anything on this presentation that you can't do on your phone. And because if you go to Navionics on a computer, it can do some other things that you can't do on the phone and vice versa. So I wanted to be able to show you what it looks like on the phone. Now, I can zoom in by touching these top buttons. See on the top right, there's a plus and minus. I can zoom in doing that, or I can just simply use my index finger and my thumb and zoom right down. And as I zoom down, you'll start to see us getting closer to Lake St. Clair. And as I get real close, you'll see some of the chartology start to show up. Now some of the numbers are showing up. For those of you who haven't trained with me, I'm sure that your captain that you trained with went over this with you, but the difference between a map and a chart are the numbers that you see that represent the bottom of the lake. So those numbers are what we call chart datum. Chart datum is the average depth in that area over the last 3 years. Or I'm sorry, over 30 years. Not 3 years, 30 years. So it's the average depth over 30 years. imagine if they had to do it real time, they would be printing maps constantly. They would be printing these charts constantly. So they do it average over 30 years. As I zoom in more, you'll see more numbers pop up. Now, these charts are not only do they show you the bottom and what the bottom looks like depth-wise, but they're also color-coded. So you'll see here, white is the deepest part of the chart. Then light blue is the next deepest part of the chart. And then dark blue is the shallowest part of the chart. It's the opposite of what you would think. You would think that white is the shallowest and dark blue is the deepest, but it's actually the opposite. So dark blue is the shallowest, white is the deepest. And when we zoom out, you can see if we zoom into the channel, right? Around the channel and in the channel is the deepest part of the lake. Right? And when we're boating, we always want to stay in the channels. If we stay in the channels, we have safe passage. Okay, let's zoom out a little bit. Now, see these crosshairs that I now have up? These crosshairs are interesting because you can put them on different things. And then when you hit the question mark on the right-hand side, it will tell you everything you need to know about that particular icon. So that icon right here is St. Clair Harbor. St. Clair Harbor is going to tell you, this is the marinas and moorings, right? Let's see, let's go in a little bit and we'll go into, let's go into Jefferson Beach. So if I go to Jefferson Beach and I hit question mark, it's going to tell me everything I need to know about Jefferson Beach, the longitude, the latitude. If I select the Jefferson Beach boat ramp, it will tell me the boat ramp is for Jefferson Beach members only. Right? And it tells me the longitude and latitude. If I go out to, let's pick something else. Let's pick Michigan Miller Fuel Dock, right? So if I go to the Miller Fuel Dock and I select the Miller Fuel Dock, it will, usually it'll give you the phone number for that location. Let's see if it gives us Michigan Harbor. It gives us the longitude, latitude. It gives us the address. It gives us the phone number for Ken's Marine Fuel Dock. It gives us the address and it gives us a contact phone number for Michigan Harbor, right? So the crosshairs will tell you things. You can do it to any kind of icon that you see here. So let's select the St. Clair Shores buoy here. So this is, you can look at the buoys too. This is the breakwater light number 2. Tells you a little bit about that. It tells you the flashing light, which is every 4 seconds. So at night, when you see a light that it shines every 4 seconds, you're looking at the St. Clair Shores breakwater light 2. The Coast Guard station, I can select that. Tells me about the Coast Guard station. Gives me the phone number for the Coast Guard station and tells me the longitude and latitude. All right, let's go to Markley Marina up in the Clinton River. So let's zoom in. We'll go to Markley. If I select on Markley, it tells me all kinds of information about Markley. So Markley Marina. Oh, wait, sorry. Well, when I was doing this last night, it told me all kinds of information about it. Now it's not telling me anything. Sorry. Let's look at, if we zoom out, I can move around. Let's look at the wreck here right in front of, this is right in front of the nautical mile. For those of you who go out of St. Clair Shores quite often. And if I select the wreck here, it shows you that the wreck is showing any portion of the whole substructure partly submerged in high water. 48-foot vessel partially submerged. This was actually from back in 2020. That wreck is no longer there. Let's look at the famous firecracker, which is over right where the two shipping channels meet. So see the two shipping channels, the Old South Channel and the Greater Shipping Channel, where they meet. If I zoom in, you'll start to see a break wall start to emerge. That is this yellow land right there. And when I select my crosshair over top of that, it tells me it's a break wall. If I select the information, it says, due to high water on the lake, the entire break wall is submerged. Do not try to transit over. Right? This is the break wall that Steve is always warning everybody about. So this is a dangerous area, and it will tell you it's a dangerous area. If you go over any of the buoys and select on them, they tell you what they are. So the St. Clair Cutoff Channel, Preferred Channel Buoy. For those of you who have trained with me, you know exactly what a preferred channel buoy is, right? It's a fork, it tells you it's a fork in the road, right? The preferred way is to treat that buoy like whatever the top color is. So if you're returning from the sea and that's a green buoy, the preferred way is to keep that green buoy on your left-hand side. Now, if we want to do anything kind of fancy with our Navionics, we need to go into our menu button. See down at the bottom, there's a menu button. We're going to select the menu button. And here you'll see my name up at the top. We're going to select where my name is. And we're going to go into Powerboat, where it says Powerboat right there. I'm going to select that. And we're going to set up our boat. Now, mine is set up for my boat. But what I would do if I were a member of Freedom Boat Club, I would set it up for any generic Freedom Boat Club boat, which you could set it up for a 25-foot boat with a 8 or 9 foot beam and a 3-foot or 2.5-foot draft. I always tell everybody do a 3-foot draft, then you're safe. If you don't know what these things are, if you touch on the word length, it shows you exactly what that is. So it's from the bow of the boat to the stern of the boat. That is the length, right? If you don't know what the beam is the width of the boat. And then the draft, if you don't know what that is, it's from the water line to the bottom of the boat. How much space do you need? Almost all of our boats are going to need at least 2.5 feet. I always tell everybody set it up for 3 feet and then you're safe. So if you set it up for a 25-foot with a 10 or a 8 or 9 foot beam with a 3-foot draft, then you're good. You can even set up the cruising speed. You can set up fuel consumption, right? If you want to know how much gas that you're going to use. So when I get out of this, what I can do now is I can do an automatic route. So let's touch route and we'll go to automatic. Now I'm in St. Clair Shores. So I'm going to start from the nautical mile. I'm just going to hold that button down. I create this pink dot. Let's say I want to go from St. Clair Shores to Cabana Blue. I'm going to go over here to Cabana Blue. Now I know Cabana Blue is right here in front of this horseshoe restaurant. So I'm going to touch my finger right out in front where it's 4 feet deep. And what happens is because I've set up my boat, I've set up how much draft I need so I can get through. The program itself is going to route me around anything that is less than 3.2 feet, which is what I set it up as. So when I go out, when I zoom out and I look at it, you can see it routes me around anywhere dangerous. You know, back years ago when GPS first came out, it wouldn't automatically route you like this. If you put a dot in one spot and a dot in the other, it would route you like a crow flies. Now it'll route you around anything that is less than whatever you say your draft is. So if I zoom in, I've got clear sailing, you can see all the way till I get to the point of Metro Beach. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but the yellow represents the land. So at the very tip of Metro Beach, out in front of there is very shallow water. People, I see boats run at that all the time. It's very shallow. Not only is it shallow, it's only 2 feet and 1 feet in some spots. There's rocks there, big rocks. So you want to go around that area and look at this program routes me right around here. Now, in this area, it's warning me of some shallow water to be careful. When I zoom back out, it's going to take me over by
Karyn, I think you're muted.
Karyn? Karyn, did we lose you?
yeah, I'm here.
She was
Okay.
muted.
Where did because I didn't touch anything.
Yeah, it just muted again. You're hitting something.
Wendy, is somebody tape recording it? That might be why she's getting cut off.
Yeah. Okay, I'll watch it because I'm not touching anything. I'm just touching my phone, but I don't know if somebody's hitting like mute all or. Okay, so I'll just keep going. So now it's going to show me all the way into Bouvier Bay to be careful. And then it stops me right in front of Cabana Blue restaurant. Now it's going to tell me, because I've got this set up for my boat, it's going to take me, it's just shy of 20 miles. You see down at the bottom, it's just shy of 20 miles. It's 19.6 miles. It's going to take me about 43 minutes to get there at my cruising speed. And that's all dependent on the weather, right? And it's going to take me about 13 gallons of fuel. And it also tells me my beginning longitude and latitude and my ending longitude and latitude. So I can hit go and it will start that route. I can also, at the end, once I get there, I can stop it, I can reverse it. I can look at the details and I can save that route. So I can save that route and then use it again. I'm gonna stop it. And I'm not gonna archive it. So one of the other things that we can do is if we go into menu again, we can look at our tracks. So you can create a track. Let me stop and go back here. You can create a track anytime you're moving by just hitting the start button, which is down at the bottom. So I just hit the start button and see how at the top it's telling me total time, speed, miles per hour, and distance. I'm not moving, so it's not recording anything, but this is how you would keep a track or a breadcrumb trail, as some people call it. So you can create a track if you're going somewhere, if you're following somebody and you want to go back to that, that's how you create a track. Once you're wherever you want to go, you want to stop, and you can save that. You can pause it or you can delete that track. I'm going to stop this and I'm going to delete it, confirm delete. If I go back into menu, you can see the tracks that you've created. So Jefferson Beach to Lexington State Dock. I've got Emerald City Harbor. I've got a whole bunch of different tracks that I have saved. You can save your own tracks. And then it's just a route that you can follow again. I have routes that I've created and that I can save. You can name these. They tell you the length, the time, and again, the fuel consumption, which is important, right? Why is that important? Because you need a third, and a third, right? You need 1/3 of a tank for however long it takes to get there, another third, however long it takes to get back, and then a third in case the weather gets bad. So if I need 10 gallons, I need 30 gallons in my gas tank, right? A third, and a third. So if I go to markers, I can create markers. Now, I've created some markers here, but let me show you what those markers are. So I have created my own markers, these ones where you see that there is a, it looks like a pin, right? If I zoom in, I have created some pins. Now, don't you guys go stealing all my places to fish, but these are all places where I've caught fish, right? So here's some walleye, here's some perch, right? I think all of you know to go to the dumping grounds if you want to do some fishing. And here's some other perch, right? If I hit question mark, it tells me the longitude and latitude of those locations. You can put pins in your favorite restaurants. So again, if I go back up here, here's Island Grill, right, where I put a pin in. So when I open that up, it tells me about Island Grill. You can change the different pins to different icons if you want. So that's one of the things that I like about the GPS and having this in my pocket, as opposed to, you know, all of our boats, most of our boats all have GPS on them, but they also create a trail every time anybody goes out. So about midway through the year, it looks like spaghetti. And then also, I can't put, I probably can, but I don't know if I want to, put a pin in different places that I like to go on the GPS on the 25-foot Sea Ray, right? Because I'm not always going to get the 25-foot Sea Ray. But if I can put it on my GPS that's in my pocket that I carry around, then I have it all the time. The other thing is, if I use this, I only have one thing to learn. I don't have to learn all the different Navionics or the different navigational GPSs on each of the different boats. So that's another reason why I like this. Let's take a look at some of the map options. So you can get to the map options in a couple different ways. One is by touching on the lower left corner of your screen here. You'll see the pin, then you'll see an arrow, and the one in between that looks like layers of a piece of paper. If I select that, it gives me different options for my chart. So I can do like a, let's say, a satellite imagery, right? So if I do satellite imagery, it will show me the satellite and the depth of the lake with all the chartology. So it shows me all the buoys and it shows me a satellite picture of the lake and the surrounding land. So if I zoom in, you'll see, right, all of the homes along the Clinton River. You'll see the marinas along the Clinton River, right? Some people like that. It's up to you. Personally, I find it distracting, so I like to not have that. I like to have that turned off. Another way you can get to it is through here, which is map options. And so I can no overlay. I can hit no overlay and then it goes away, right? I can do a US government chart, which is just a little bit different. Again, than the regular chart. And so you have different options. I personally just like the traditional chart because that's what I learned on. So that's what I know. But other people like different views. You can also go into menu and you have options for orientation, right? Do you want the map to be facing north? Do you want it to be facing your route, the way your route is going? So here you have north, you have heads up, which is the way that you're facing or the route you're going, right? Or course up. I like to just keep it north up. So when I zoom out, here's my north up, right? So it shows the whole chart the way that I would normally see it with north at the top. Let's take a look at weather. So there are weather options also available. What I like, and when I talk to you guys about, when I train you, I always talk about the most important thing about weather is not that it's going to be 85 and sunny, but the wind speed and direction, right? Because we like a west wind if we're going out of Lambrick or St. Clair Shores, right? If we're going out of Detroit, sometimes a strong west wind is not great. And if we're over in Elginak, sometimes a strong southwest wind is not great. So we want to know the wind speed and direction. Right now, the wind speed and direction is 12 miles per hour out of the south, southwest, and that is the arrow direction that you see. If I slide forward, you'll see by Thursday, tomorrow, it's going to be really south west, much more west. By 4 a.m., it's going to be out of the west. By 9 a.m., it's going to be coming out of the northwest. By 4 p.m., it's going to be coming out of the east, but only at 5 miles an hour. So that's very light winds We like light winds. Anything under 10 miles an hour, I consider light winds. And as we go into Friday, you'll see Friday during the day, early morning, we have south winds again. And it's showing the overview is that we have a chance of showers. So we have to be careful. We've got to be watching the weather. And then you see up here by 3 p.m., we have a 30% chance of showers. And that is on Friday. Now that's based in St. Clair Shores. I'm sure that the rest of the area is similar. So let's talk about when we want to do a pin. So let's set up a pin somewhere. So I'm just going to set up a pin randomly here. If I hit question mark, I can say I want to turn a marker in here. I want to do it in my selected location. I can do anchorage. I can do a dot. I can do a man overboard, which could be important, right? I can do fish A, fish B. I can create a hazard. I could say there's a rock here. I could say this is a good diving area. I could say this is my home, right? So let's just go ahead. We'll put a dot there. We're going to say save. And now there is a dot here where I did that. So specifically, if you have a man overboard situation, this is a really great thing to mark the spot where the person went over, especially if you have a man overboard situation, you can't get it, you can't find them, you can't get them back on the boat. It's a great thing to do. It gives the search and rescue teams somewhere to start from. Let's talk about measuring distance. So if I want to, let's say, go from my house, which is here, out to the, from the nautical mile, let's say, out to the St. Clair light. I'm gonna touch on the right-hand side of my screen, down at the bottom. I'm gonna pull up the pins, right? I move the one pin, I grab the one pin and move it down here to the nautical mile. And I'm gonna move the other pin over here to the St. Clair light, right there. And it's gonna tell me that that is 6.6 miles. And it's gonna give me my compass heading.
Karen, excuse me, how did
Yeah.
you get the pin to move?
I just touched it.
You just touch it? and
I
pull
dragged
Okay.
it. I dragged it.
All right, thank you.
So I just grab it and drag it. Sorry.
No, that's okay. I just
So I
wondered.
grab it and I drag it. So if I want to go from the nautical mile to Metro Beach, let's say, right, it's going to be about 9 miles. Right. And if you know how much fuel you're going to consume, I think most of our boats, I would be safe to say that we're probably consuming about 2 miles per gallon, depending on what you're running. And you guys can do the math to figure out how much fuel you're going to burn in an hour. But, you know, here, if you're doing 10, you're going to burn about 20. Are you going to get, no, that's not right. I'm not that great at math. So you guys can figure that out. But most of our boats, the outdrives are pretty economical and they burn probably about 2 miles per gallon. You get 2 miles per gallon.
Hey, Karen, Steven
Yeah.
just asked a question, how to select a marker and place it on the map, if you can go over that.
How to select a mark? Like I want to put a pin in something?
Yes, one of the pin markers,
Yep.
and then selecting the type of icon you want to mark it as.
I'll show it again. So let's just say we're going to put something out here in the middle of let's say I want to mark this shallow area in front of Metro Beach, that there's rocks here. So I'm gonna hit question mark. I put the crosshairs on it. I hit question mark. I touch on marker. And then it gives me an option of things to select from. If I select rock and then hit save, there's my rock right there. And I can hit question mark and it tells me that that's my marker number 26. It tells me longitude and latitude. Right? Did I answer your question? I hope.
That's what we were looking for. Thanks, Karyn.
All right, yep. Okay. Now there is an option. I don't have anybody set up in my GPS, but you can share your live location. So see right under where it says my current GPS location is, you can select that and it'll show you your current GPS location and you can share your live location. When I do that, it tells me I don't have anybody to share that with, but you can set people up in the menu. If you go into menu again, and you go into connections here, you can add people. So you could search for people and you can add people there. So you can share your location. So if you're meeting up with people at Muscatmoot, Little Muscatmoot, Bare Naked, Bay, if you're going into the Snai and you want people to know where you're at, you can share your location. Let's talk about tides, right? Or wait, before I get into that, does anybody have any questions about anything? Because now would be a good time to ask. If you do.
If you're on a trip, does it show the closest marina? Like if you're on a long trip, can you, it's dark or something, can you locate a marina nearby?
Yes. So if you're, so the question was, if you're on a long trip, like, well,
At night.
At night, will it tell you like a local marina? So what you can do is, let's just say you're going down like Erie and you don't want to wait, or you don't want to, cross Lake Erie at night. So you can go and you can find, for example, here's Grizzly Yacht Club. Here is Ford Yacht Club. Let's see, if we keep going down, we should be able to find there's a Lake Erie Metro Park. Here is Gibraltar. So you've got to kind of know that they're there. They're not going to jump out at you. It's not going to like ping you and say, hey, you're passing Gibraltar. But if you look on shore, you'll be able to find the marinas by looking for the little sailboat. And when you look at Gibraltar and you hit the question mark here, right, Humbug Marina, it'll give you their phone number, which you can then call.
Okay. Thank you.
Right, in Gibraltar, it'll give you their phone number as well.
Yeah, if you need a slip right away. If a storm comes or something, yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, so you'll be able to find them.
Karyn, a couple of questions from Bob.
Sure.
He wants to know, one, will Navionics warn you of any height issues with bridges? Likewise, will the app work in an area where you have no cell signal?
So, let me answer the first one or the last one first. So I have used this when I've gone to Canada, and it has worked everywhere. Like I've gone to Grand Bend on Lake Erie. I've gone to Bayfield. Grand Bend on Lake Huron. I've gone to Bayfield. It's always worked. I've never had a problem with it not working anywhere on the lake. And I don't know, I can't explain why. it works. It just does. And so I've never had a problem. I've been out in the middle of Lake Erie and it's worked. So I've used it everywhere and I've never had a problem with it not work. It does not tell you the height of the bridges.
And
that I
Karyn,
know of.
on the maps, as long as you've downloaded a map onto your Navionics, the chart will continue to locate you via satellite. I believe it's via satellite, but I've used it out in the ocean quite a bit and well offshore. And as long as you have the pre-downloaded maps on it, it works just fine. And Mark
Yes, so
Miller-
you have no problem, right, Steve?
Yep. What's
Yeah.
that?
I was just saying you don't have any problems.
No, no
in
problem at
ocean.
all, as long as you have the map downloaded.
Yep.
Karyn,
Yep.
this is Glenn Porsadek. I think
Hi, Glenn.
I'm not that familiar with Navionics, but I believe that in the menu, what Steve's referring to is not only is there a way to update maps, but you can then download the maps right above.
Yep.
And if you download them, they are on your device, and therefore it'd be like holding a paper chart. You don't need a connection, I don't think, because they're now residing on your device.
Yeah, and I think that I think you're right, and I think that I have downloaded Lake St. Clair for sure, but I haven't downloaded Lake Huron and I haven't downloaded Lake Erie, and maybe I've just been lucky, but if you wanted to download those, you can.
And it
this
tells
is how
you
you
if
do
you
it.
have enough space on
Yeah.
your device to do it.
Yeah, it says right here, for those of you who are looking at the screen, it says download maps, 11.11 gigabyte space available.
Right.
So if you wanted to do that. Very good information, you guys. Thanks for sharing. So does anybody else have any questions? If you have a boat profile loaded and use automatic routing. I don't think it shows the bridges. So somebody asked, if you have your boat profile loaded and use automatic routing, will it show bridges or obstructions? I don't think it'll route you through bridges or obstructions. Because I've used this to go to Browns, for example, and it doesn't tell me to go through Muscatine and go underneath the bridge. It routes me right up and down the middle channel. So it doesn't even tell me to go under a bridge. I would imagine that I think that you can set up your height on the menu on your boat as well. Let's see, let's take a look. Yep, max height right here. So if you put your height in there, I have mine at 10 feet. It's not going to route you around. It's not going to route you underneath a bridge that's going to be too high for you to go or too low for you to go under.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
Is Navionics only on your phone, or can you use it on like an iPad or something?
You can absolutely use it on an iPad. You can use it on a computer.
Okay, I mean, like while I'm running my boat, this little tiny map is hard to see sometimes when you're cruising.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I like it, but I can tell you that my Simrad on my boat isn't much bigger. So
Oh,
I use both of them. What I like to do is when I'm running, I leave the Simrad on like an overview of my route, and I will zoom in like this to see up close, like, am I staying in the channel? Where should my next buoy be? Right, so that I can see. And then it will also, so at the very, very bottom on the left-hand side is this little arrow. And if you touch that while you're running, the map will move with the boat while you're running.
okay.
So it'll always keep the boat centered as you're
Got it.
running through the channel.
And Karen, with an iPad or other device, you either have to have the map downloaded into that device or you have to have a cell connection.
Yes. Yeah, good point, Steve.
Okay, so if you did like your phone as a hotspot, then you'd be just fine.
You sure could.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. There's a lot more videos that you can watch about Navionics on YouTube. Of course there is, right? There's videos on everything on YouTube, but there's a lot more really good videos. If you want to go into more detail, there's a lot more that I could have even shown you guys, but you know, I just wanted to get kind of some of the basics. When you see something like this, for example, see the round dotted circle there, that's an obstruction, right? So you want to make sure that you use the crosshairs and take a look at what is that, right? When you see these things, something that looks like this, right? These are all obstructions, right? I believe that that is that sunken boat that we talk about all the time. Right, so make sure that when you see these things that you go over it with the crosshair so that you know what it is.
And Karen, another thing that I would add that, you know, if you're traveling to the locations out of state, like if you're boating down in Florida or waterways that you're not familiar with, what I always do the night before is I sit down on my computer and I kind of map out my, you know, where I'm going, and I go over it with my mouse and looking for all of those obstructions, looking for the wrecks, looking for danger areas, looking for short water, you know, shallow water. I'll map out my routes on my computer, you know, just to check the safe areas. The thing about, you know, boating in Florida, the water levels with the tide change all the time, so that's something you have to pay attention to. Also, the topography of the ocean bottom changes all the time, so it may not be as accurate as our lakes are, but it's just something I've always done as a habit. Is I look both at the chart view and I look at the satellite view. Many times the satellite view, I can actually pick up some obstructions in shallow water areas where it's not showing on the charts.
Yep, true, very true. Very smart to plan your trip. Go ahead. Does somebody else have a question?
Does the annual subscription work on any device?
Yes, and you can actually share the annual subscription. So like if there's two of you, you can share, you only need one subscription, you can share that.
That's really nice, especially being able to look at the computer and use your mouse and everything to preview a route before you go.
Yeah.
This is Glenn again. Yes, I have it on my phone, which is a relatively big screen because of my old eyes, but it's also on two separate iPads, a 9-inch one and a 12-inch one. The dilemma with the iPads is that unless they're shaded in some way, they really are not very good in sunlight. I wish there was a brighter, you know, better contrast type of tablet, but they work. They just need to be shaded.
Yeah, that is true. They don't work so well. People ask me all the time about my phone if I have a hard time. I have no problems whatsoever with my phone in the sun, but I would imagine that iPad is different.
It is.
These little football shaped things on the chart are wrecks. If I go over them, they're wrecks. So usually sometimes they'll say obstruction. Just make sure that you go over them, that you know what they are. I'm going to talk about the charts here, and I'm going to zoom in here in Charleston. And as I zoom in, you'll see these arrows start to come up. You'll see the arrows in the chart. And as I go over one of these arrows and I hit the question mark, it shows me that arrow, and it shows me that the tide is currently going out at 2 miles per hour. That's what's happening right now. If I scroll, see down at the bottom where it says Charleston Harbor, right underneath that, it tells you 7:17 p.m. It tells you 11:58, and then it tells you 6:59, and then it tells you up at the top again 12:22 a.m. If I scroll and I move this, you'll see that crosshair is moving. And as that crosshair moves, so does the arrow. So now that arrow, which was here when we started, right, at the tide going out at 2.1 miles per hour. Now, when I scroll at 12 o'clock, it's going in at 1.3 miles per hour. So when you're down in Florida, when you're in South Carolina, North Carolina, anywhere that's ocean and you have to deal with tides going in and out, this is a great way to be able to plan when you want to be going out, when you want to be going in, if you're going to beach the boat, how long are you going to beach the boat, right? Because you don't want to leave it there beached overnight. And so this is a great way to look at when the water is going in and when it's going out. So you'll see here at 3:41 p.m., the water is coming back in at 0.6 miles per hour. Then it's going to be going back out closer to 8 p.m. or closer to 6 p.m. It's going out at 1.1 miles per hour. So this is a great little trick to help you when you're in unfamiliar area, when you're in an area that has tides, which we're not familiar with, and helps you keep track of if the tide is going in or tide is going out. Another thing we always recommend is that you ask the locals, because local knowledge is best, right? So find out from the locals, when on average do the tides go in and out, and then you can confirm it by using this neat little part of the app.
Karyn, another question's come up is
Yeah.
whether the no wake zones are marked on Navionics.
I used to say no, they were not, because you don't see the white buoys, but then I was running down the middle channel on our lake and there was no buoy on our lake, but there was a white, or I should say just an outline of a buoy that I saw in the middle channel. And when I went over it, it said that it was a no wake buoy. So sometimes I think is the answer. Steve, what have you found? Have you found that have you seen like a ghost buoy?
I'll be honest with you, Karyn, it's not something I've ever looked for, but I'm actually on my phone right now checking the Detroit River on the US side of Belle Isle to see if it's actually marked. So,
yeah, but that isn't even marked with a real buoy. Well, either is the middle channel. Yeah, so yeah, here's Browns right here. Like I marked it. Right, here's Browns. And then I think it was further up. I was running along and I was really surprised to see that.
And Karyn, what I'm looking at, knowing a no wake zone is in Detroit, right on the Belle Isle, the US side of Belle Isle. It is not marked. I'm not seeing a mark for it, at least as I'm scrolling through it.
Yeah, I'm not finding the one I saw either. Oh, there it is, right there. There it is.
Oh, there. Okay.
So the answer, I think, is sometimes.
Yeah, you got to look close.
Yeah. So
I have a question. My name's Charlie.
Sure. Hi, Charlie.
It's obviously Lake Sinclair related, but so it kind of relates to this buoy, right? This no wake zone buoy that you're talking about. So if there's something that's not labeled on this map, say Munchies Bay or Bare Naked Bay, is somebody else able to label it and it would pop up? Say I go into my Navionics and I say I want to go to Munchies Bay and someone has pre-marked it. Is that something possible with this app?
It's not a social sharing app, so I
So
don't
I
think
would-
so.
But
I would
Karen,
have to physically
so
mark it
Munchie-
on myself.
yeah, so Munchie's Bay, if you go in and then Karen, just go up to the magnifying glass on the main menu at the
Yeah.
very top there and just type in Munchie's Bay, that will come up.
Okay.
Yeah, and this is one of the other thing I was just mentioning is that a great way to, find places and, where you want to go. You can type in any restaurant around the lake, any gas stock around the lake, just by going to that magnifying glass and it'll take you right to those locations.
Yeah, you can also take a picture of it if you want
Yep.
while you're there. But it's not a social sharing app. So like if you said, hey, there's rocks there, it doesn't show up for everybody else. It's just for you.
Now,
Specifically for your application on your device. Gotcha.
Yes.
Now we are
Thank
planning another one of these seminars with a group called No Wake, KNOWWAKE. It's like the Waze GPS for boats, and it's very kind of sharing, community-based, friendly, and we're working to set up a situation that we can work with these guys, and we're going to get one of the designers to put on a seminar for us. So look forward to that. It's coming up soon.
Here's the No Wake app.
Yeah.
I just pulled it up.
It's a cool little app and free.
Yeah, it's free. And it is a social sharing app. So this one, you could put something in here and it will show up. So you can see like here, these things, shallow, right? So other people put shallow. Here is probably shallow, right? So these are all other things. This is the No Wake app. This is the firecracker. Look at that, Steve.
Oh yeah. We communicate directly with these guys. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. So we've got about 5 minutes left. Do you guys have any other questions?
Can you
Yes, I have
spell
a question.
again the app? You said No Wake. Is it NO or K? Can you spell again?
KNOW.
Question?
Shoot.
Yeah, on the routes, if I set a route and I'm curious about the how this thing compensates in a tide zone. So I've got my boat set a 3-foot draft and I'm in Florida going through one of the inlets off Venice, and I'm cool, clear, high tide, and I come back at a low tide condition. Is that route compensating for the tide change, or do I have to do that manually?
No, the answer is yes. If you have the route set up on you have your boat profile in, it will compensate for any tide changes. And it's, when you're in channels, it's going to keep you in the channel whether it's high tide or low tide, but it will compensate throughout the day.
Yeah, well, that wasn't the case this year. The channel markers were blown out because of the hurricane. They hadn't got in place yet.
It was very difficult navigating down there.
Okay, but that's good news. Thanks.
Anybody else have anything?
Karen,
All right.
I thought it was outstanding, Karen. Thank you
Well,
again
that's
so
good.
much.
Thank you.
You're-
When's the next class?
Oh.
We'll let you know. Just keep an eye on it.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you guys all so much for being here and for wanting to learn and to be safe. And if you have any questions, ask, email Taylor and I'll try to get answers to all of those for you. But thanks for your time and have a good night.
Yeah, and anybody else that's listening to this, if you want to rewatch it, we have recorded it and we'll be posting on the Freedom Boat Club Lake St. Clair Facebook page, as well as on the hazard mitigation page. And I think Trevor will probably let us post it up on his Lake St. Clair page.
No. Thank you.
Thanks,
Good night, everybody.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Good night.
Thank you.